Hello everyone and welcome to this new series on the C programming lab term work solving video series. So in this video series I will be covering the term works prescribed by the VTU, which are very important for the students who are there in the first semester. So I will be covering all the term works each term work in single video. So to begin with, I have taken the first term of the syllabus. So the first term says that the problem statement says that given a we have to write a C program. Given the mass, height, and velocity, we have to find the mechanical energy of a particle using the formula of energy. What is the formula of energy? You might have encountered it in your previous classes. That is E equal to mgh plus half mv square. So let us try to solve this one. So beginning with the C programming basics, we have to include a header file using a preprocessor directive, that is hash include. Hash include is called preprocessor directive and stdio.h is called a header file. We will be having a main function which is called as the entry point of the uh, program, or the entry point of the any program execution. So we will be taking some variables which can hold the value. So which all values we need to store? We need to store mass, that is m, height, which is abbreviated as h, and velocity, and we will use some variable energy, which is to hold the final energy value, calculated final energy value. We are having the all of these in the form of float because they can be in the form of fraction, floating point number. So to avoid any data loss by using the integer variable, better to use it in the float variable. Then we will take all these inputs by prompting a message to user saying enter the uh, values. We will say enter the mass, then we will to display a message we will be using a printf function. In the similar way, we will be using the scanf to read any data from the input terminal and to store it in a particular variable. Here we are using the scanf function where I am storing where I am getting the value from the user and storing it in the floating point variable mass. Similar way, I will do it for height and velocity. I will say enter the height, whatever value entered by the user will be stored in the height variable. Similar way, we need to read the velocity. Remember, we are doing the calculation of energy for a particle. So the value should be entered for the particle itself. The user has to enter the mass of the particle, height of the particle, velocity of the particle, etc. Then we will say energy. This energy variable will be holding the actual value of the um, energy calculated. So what we will do is we will create one function which can calculate and give back us the energy. We will say mechanical underscore energy. We will have mass, height, velocity as a arguments to that function. Here we will write that function. What is that function? a function which is calculating the mechanical energy by taking inputs such as mass, height, and velocity. So there should be a return type for the function. We are specifying it as a float. Float mechanical energy. After that, we will have all the variables in the form of float, float, mass, float, height, float, energy. Why we are writing a function is also an important thing to be noticed, because a C program is a procedure oriented program that we can separate each task into a particular task or a particular function, and we can uh, group them a similar function at one point. So we will have here another variable which will calculate the potential energy. Why potential energy is needed? Because you can see in the formula which is commented at the first line. Here two types of energy are there. First is potential energy. The second is the kinetic energy. mgh is called potential energy. So first we will calculate the potential energy using its formula, that is mgh. I will say float potential equal to mgh. So mass, M stands for mass into G stands for gravity. I will directly enter its value, that is 9.81 or 9.8 as per your preference. Then enter the height from which you are dropping a particle, that is used for calculating the potential energy. And this makes the potential energy value to be calculated. We will have similar way kinetic energy. How we will calculate the kinetic energy? We will be calculating it using the formula half mv square. What is the half? Half we can write it in the form of 1 by 2, but I will write it as zero point 0.5. zero point 0.5 mass into velocity square. So I will write velocity into velocity. So whenever I want a square of a number, I will just multiply it twice to get the result. Uh, it should be velocity here. Velocity, yes. Uh, After we calculated the potential energy and kinetic energy, we will store it in the total energy. I will say the variable total, which is sum of potential plus kinetic. Yes, this makes it. So I will say return total, because the purpose of the function is to calculate the total mechanical energy, which is the sum of potential energy and kinetic energy, which we have calculated individually over here by using the formula mgh, that is mass into gravity into height for potential energy, half mass into velocity for kinetic energy. Then we are adding them in the variable total, and I am returning that floating point variable total back to the calling function. Which is the calling function here? Main function is calling the mechanical energy function. Once I get this variable energy, which is containing mechanical energy, my job is to print it to user and say this is the result. Mechanical energy percentage F stands for the format specifier of the floating point variable. Then we have to specify which variable we are printing. We are printing energy. Then the program ends. Yes, just to have a return zero statement which tells that main function is returning 0 to the upper calling function. We will execute and it is asking enter the mass. I will say, well, I will give some random values. Enter the height. Height I will say 3. Enter the velocity. I will say 10. The mechanical energy it gives in the form of uh, a floating point because we have taken the float as a data type to store the energy. I hope you have understood the program, a quite simple one. Just you need to use the formula in the proper way and you need to print the result. Thank you.